Elizabeth, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? How did you grow up? Where? How many siblings? All of that.
I am the eldest of three girls. I'm half Filipino, half Romanian. My parents met in like a really small town in Australia. They both migrated from their respective countries and then met there and then had me first and then had my sisters. Yeah, I guess it was quite a normal childhood. I was really close with my grandma, actually. We spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So
On the mom's side?
Mom's side, so the Filipino grandparents. And yeah, I vividly remember spending a lot of my time with them. My grandma, who passed away in 2010, was probably one of like the most significant, important people in my life. So it was tough. It was really tough losing her because she was the one that made my lunch, walked me to school every day, walked me back home from school.
So the bonding was really strong.
Yeah, it really was. And she was actually the one that I shared the dream of being a beauty queen with.
I see. And speaking of that, let's tie that in with my next question. When was your first pageant and why did you decide to join?
Like I said, I shared it with my grandma, and it wasn't really there wasn't a particular reason. I really admired the fact that women went on stage. I was watching Miss Universe, and so I really admired how these women went on stage and just so confidently carried themselves. You know, it was something so admiring about that, especially like years ago. This was maybe like at least 10, 15 years ago when women empowerment wasn't as evident as it is now.
Yes.
So people always talk about beauty queens and beauty pageants being you know, just like a superficial thing, but for me, I saw it as an empowering thing. And so that's what allured me in the beginning. And so my first pageant was Binibining Pilipinas in 2011. I joined in 2011 with my sister.
What made you join again? What was it for the same reasons and then you decided to, of course you prepared for it this time, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, coming back, how many years has it been? It's like 6 years.
6 years.
6 years. So coming back 6 years later, obviously I'm much more mature. People would ask me, or they'd tell me, oh, you're much more confident now. And then I wouldn't say that I'm more confident. I would tell them I just believe in myself now. So I matured as a woman. And yeah, I went in this time with a training camp. And so that kind of helped because they really have, they've been doing it for years. So I joined KF and they really helped out a lot. But yeah, going back into it, it wasn't like a plan per se, but it was like a dream I always had. And then so I was like, man, this is the last year. I don't know, it just popped up for some reason in my mind. Because I was focused on my music, I was a full-time musician, and for some reason it just popped up, and then I was like, man, you know what, like it's still a dream of mine. I should give it one last shot.
Now you don't regret it because I mean you did so well. What was the most difficult part? Because I mean I know everybody has to look good in their evening gowns and their swimsuit, and of course you have to work out, you have to diet. How did you prepare for this, and what was the most difficult part of all of these things?
For me, so when I came into, I don't wear makeup actually. Like me 10 months ago was just like in my trackies, hair slicked back and no makeup. So I really had to learn a lot of things. I had to learn how to put on makeup. But after Binibining, the things that I focused on the most was hair and makeup, for sure. Because that didn't come easy for me. And then, because I mean, walking was okay. We worked on walking, and walking was okay during Binibining. But the most was because you have to do your own hair and makeup. Yeah, so it's important, and it's so important, like to look okay on stage. So that's what I needed to work on the most. And obviously, I worked on everything Q&A. I worked out. I don't really diet because I'm vegan, so it's more of a lifestyle for me.
So vegan, completely, not even dairy, not even ovo, not even pesco. It's really, that's vegetarian. Right? Vegan is really Wow.
Yes.
Isn't okay? This is, I know that this is not supposed to be on the question, but for those who are vegan or wanna be vegan, the Philippines is not exactly vegan friendly, Elizabeth. It's not. How do you manage?
You know what? It's so funny because it is, but it isn't. Like, it is because it's a tropical country and that's what we thrive off is fruits and vegetables. So it's so easy to get your hands on fruits. But if you're eating out at like restaurants and stuff,
right.
that's when it becomes difficult. So when you cook at home, it's fine. It's like, it's nothing. But eating out, it's difficult to find vegan options, yes.
Well, you had a problem with like a challenge with your skin, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about, and how did you overcome it?
So it was 2014, and I was driving home to see my family. And then out of nowhere, my skin just broke out in a rash, just like on my neck and around my mouth. And I was like, what's going on? And then it was so itchy. And within hours, it just spread to like the entirety of my face.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I had no idea what was going on, and it just kept getting worse. It was so itchy, and then within a week, it covered my body.
So it was like it wasn't just like a mosquito bite or whatever that it just happened and it goes away. It's not like that.
It, like, once I got it, I had it. And so I saw, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so I went and saw a lot of doctors, and they couldn't really give me an answer. I saw skin specialists, allergists, you name it, like Chinese herbalists and
everything that could possibly cover.
Yeah, I really did, and it really just all boiled down to they said that I'd have to live with it for the rest of my life. And
but it goes away.
No, I had it and it stayed.
Okay, but
because I was using creams and stuff that they gave me, and it was rejecting the creams.
So
like
it
the
was there for a
steroid
while
treatments.
until you.
So I healed myself. I basically, I was thinking if my blood work is perfect and there's nothing wrong with me and they say I'm perfectly healthy, then why is my body reacting this way? And I already had a background, and that also is one of my advocacies is naturopathy and natural health, and that's what I believed in. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. I decided to heal myself,
And how'd you do that?
so I cut everything out and I went completely raw, and I used fruits and raw vegetables and herbs to heal myself.
Okay, is that when you became vegan, or were you?
So that's when I became vegan.
Can you tell us a little bit about the night before the pageant? Because I'm sure, just like in any rehearsal for a play, for a big concert, I mean, it's different. It's maddening, and it must be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so we rehearse, honestly, like for both Beanie Beating and Miss Grand, we rehearsed for Miss Grand it was till like 2 a.m. in the morning. But we run through it like it's the actual show, so that we're prepared for it. So there were a lot of rehearsals, a lot of dancing in your heels. So you're in your heels for hours. Yeah.
Okay, so can you just imagine if you're in your heels for hours on rehearsals? So the night itself, it's not comfortable anymore. I mean, it's a little painful.
No, I mean, for me, it was fine. I can't speak for the other girls, but I was fine.
That was very nice. I didn't realize it's a lot of work. It's not just all glamour. It's a lot of hard work.
Far from it.
Far from it. Okay. Yes. Later, let's talk about the preparations for the question and answer part, because we talked about everything, and I know that one of the most difficult is the question and answer. So don't go away. Spotlight will be right back after these messages.
The second runner-up is...
The second runner-up is...
Miss Grand Philippines!
Elizabeth, I think one of the most difficult parts of being in a beauty pageant, of course being in front of millions of people, is the question and answer portion.
The question is, if you have to issue a law to punish criminals of war and violence, how would you punish these people and why?
They say a nation is judged not by the criminals and the crimes that they commit, but how the nation punishes them. If I were to create a law, it would be in line with jailment, is to implement
rehabilitation and mental rehabilitation, because character is such a complex phenomenon that we cannot judge someone's character based on the crimes that they commit. If we punish somebody just as equally as the crime that they have committed, then what does that say about us? So I would implement mental rehabilitation. Thank you.
What are your views on this? Is it difficult to prepare for a question? I mean, you don't know what they're going to ask, and you also don't know how to answer it at that particular time.
You know what? It's the anxiety of that's the worst. Because when you get there, you do really find that if you've prepared enough, then you're okay. Because question and answer, there's no wrong or right answer. It's really just your opinion on a question. I mean, the thing that you'd probably have to prepare for the most is being on top of current events.
Okay.
Because that would be the most... Because the questions, personal questions about yourself, you can easily answer because they're about yourself. So you can honestly, even if you can't think of anything because of the nerves, you can make it up on the spot.
Right, that's
But,
true. Just as long as it flows and it looks like it's well structured, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you ask me what my favorite color is, I could be like blue because blah, blah, blah. Whereas if they ask you something specifically about a current event and you're not aware of it, then how can you answer it?
Yes, and
you
that's
know?
when everything falls apart.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you can be 10 out of 10 in all. Is that true, though? You can be 10 out of 10 in all departments, but if you don't do as well in the question and answer, if you're not composed, does it really take away from everything that you've worked for throughout the pageant?
You know what? In a lot of cases, it's the most important part of the pageant. But then again, it really, I guess it depends on the pageant. I'm not too sure, but like in most cases, like for Bini Bining, it boiled down to the final question and answer. Obviously, your performance all along the way is important, but you also have to come up with an answer to match that.
Since we're talking about Binibining Pilipinas, can you tell us a little bit about that moment when you were asked the question? You don't have to tell me the question right now, but it's more of how did you prepare for it and how did you tackle it? Like when it was asked, what was going in your mind for that split second? Because there is a split second.
And there is.
I know when I get asked a question I cannot answer, I usually repeat part of the question. So I use that time that I'm repeating it to think about my answer. I use it as a bumper. But then that's
So
me.
you'd make a good beauty queen.
I use it because I have no other way. So rather than
that's a great tactic.
rather than have dead air, then I can repeat the question. So just in case I didn't hear it properly.
That's an excellent tip. See, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's great. No, but for me, mine was a personality question. So it wasn't a factual one per se. So I tend to rush when I answer questions. That's what everyone says. They're like, you need to slow down and think before you answer. But I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. So my question was, what would you do if you're stuck in traffic to make use of your time? And for any question, I honestly answer from my heart. And I don't really think of what the best answer
would be.
is.
But
I honestly just answer.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask you something, okay? Because I know that you're on top of this. So,
Oh no.
okay, so let's go back to that evening.
I already am done with the pageant.
Okay, well, this is for your next career. Remember, off cam, I told you something that if all else fails, then 20 years from now, then you can enter this, okay? So, Elizabeth, with the recently concluded ASEAN Summit, and you are a Filipino, and the Philippines is a developing country.
Yes.
So, what do you think the country needs to be able to push to be part of the first world?
You know what? I think that working together really is important. It really boils down to, you know, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So it's important that we all really focus on whatever it may be. We do need to develop in a lot of areas, whether it's health, economy, transportation even. So there are a lot of things that we do need to develop in. But as long as we stay persistent in improving in those areas every day, then we can make it towards.
And she already won because that was a very good answer because you even expanded it. They asked me to ask one more, but then it pretty much comprised everything.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure,
It's my turn to ask you a question.
sure.
Do you feel any pressure? right now?
Well, yes, actually I do, because nobody's ever, I'm used to asking questions, but being asked questions is a different thing. So I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay, what is the essence of being a man?
The essence of being a man, I think, is first of all, you have to know. I mean, all of us need to have our own, like let's say, ambitions. And I mean, what is your definition of being a man? So whatever it is, I mean, traditionally, a man is a good provider, a good parent, a good father. But then I guess now with the new millennium and the millennials, I think it's different. I think it's entirely different from the time that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you have to be a good provider. You have to be able to bring food to the table. That was the essence of being a man. And you have to be on top of things. I think now, the essence of being a man, now, generations after, is that you can work as a team with whoever it is, whoever your wife is, whoever your girlfriend is. And I think it's not anymore about whether I have to be the one providing, but I have to be a good teammate, that if my wife needs me for this, I'm gonna lift her up. Now, if I'm down, then she can lift me up. There's no more hierarchy, I think. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay. But I just really thought about that. I really didn't know the answer.
I know, because you repeated my question.
If I didn't repeat it, I would have known the answer. All right.
I knew, I was like, he's nervous, because
Okay.
you're like, the essence of being a man is...
Stop it. This is terrible. But anyway, okay. My last question, and this is gonna be easy.
What is your advocacy? And if you haven't developed it now, what do you think it would be? I mean, what would you want to be remembered as a person?
My advocacy, already, 'cause I'm a peace ambassador, so my advocacy is already peace and living in unity together. Hence why I answer working together, because it really is about open communication and understanding each other. So I think that's one of the most important issues today is all of the conflict going on. And, and I do have a lot of things that I want to be remembered for, but in terms of advocacy and working for others, that's what I'd like to do for our society, for our community, and for our world, essentially, because we only have this one world to live in. So that's what I'd like to do in service of others and the life that I have to live.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
It's really refreshing to be able to talk to somebody who has beauty, brains, talent, and everything.
Thank you.
I don't get it every day, so it's
that's so
something that I
sweet.
need
Thank
to
you.
appreciate. So thank you very much, and thank you for talking to me and also inspiring me.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Tonight, I stand here with all of these women behind me, spreading the message of peace. I'm here to remind you all, as a Philippine Peace Ambassador, that this is your responsibility too. This is our responsibility. Today, tomorrow, and for the generations to come. Thank you.